Hey everybody, this is Stitch1993, and welcome back to another toy hunting video. I know it's been a while since I've done one, I believe since last year, but I'll be doing a couple of these over the next couple weeks because I am traveling a little bit, seeing family for the summertime. So I was in Columbia and decided to check out this cool toy store called LT Cool Toys and Things. And first off, they had an amazing plush wall there, and I'm gonna apologize. I unfortunately only was there for like the last 30 minutes before they were gonna close, so I didn't get in time to look at everything in depth while watching this video footage back. I kept seeing things. I was like, oh man, I should have looked closer at that, or maybe I should have picked that out. Anyways, so yeah, so it's a pretty decent size store. So of course we got the plush wall, and then here's all the DC stuff right there, and Marvel figures. And I love those giant, I think they were like, almost 15 inch figures of Cap and Thor and Iron Man right up there. I've never seen one so big before. This Lost in Space robot really piqued my interest, and then I saw that price tag and I was like, man, that's way out of my price. Out of my budget right there. So yeah, moving forward, still got the DC stuff, both old and new. I really like these Thundercat figures. I was not aware that they did a new line of Thundercats at all, which is weird because I'm actually a pretty big fan of the series. But these looked really cool. Again, still pretty much out of my budget for this trip. This was a little impromptu trip, but still pretty decently priced in my opinion. Of course, then we got the Motu, the Masters of the Universe stuff, both old and new. And then I saw these Mirrorverse figures down here. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Mirrorverse figures themselves, but I was only ever realizing of, I think it was like the 8-inch line or 12-inch line. I wasn't aware that they made bigger figures. I did look at this and show this to my wife because she's a big Disney fan. We're both big Disney fans, and she said she did have that growing up. I had never seen it before. It looked like it was still mint in box, never opened, so that was pretty cool. I also had to show her this Stitch figure because she was a big fan of Stitch. Still is. Of course, with the $80 price tag, it was out of the budget for her, and she wasn't really in the shopping mood. It was more of just looking while I was kind of shopping. Again, had never seen Motu figures that big before in that series. And then we get into the Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This Dr. Porkchop space built. I had never seen one that large before. I've only seen the Imaginext version of it, so that was pretty cool seeing the bigger build of that one. I'm not sure what figures would go with that, but still pretty cool. And of course we got TMNT, both old and new, including some of the 2012 and 2013, 2014 figures there. And then we start getting a little bit into the Star Wars. More TMNT. I really like this Mutagen Man. Again, I don't really get into larger figures like that, but that one really piqued my interest. It really had a really good design to it, I think. Then we got into our models here with Gundam. And I saw this Avatar monkey figure. I didn't even know they ever made a figure for the monkey creature. We got some Yu-Gi-Oh! And some, I think these were like the newer Naruto figures. And then just a whole wall of anime Figma. I don't really collect them, so it was just kind of me looking them over. Up on the top of that shelf there, you had some pretty decent stuff, including, I think these were, these creatures coming up here are called Stretch and Screams. I have to look them up. I believe they're from that series there. It was a McDonald's series growing up. And going over to the next side there, bunch of Transformers. Oh, and this Empire Strikes Back Super Shogun Boba Fett. That was pretty cool. But yeah, bunch of Transformers, mostly the newer stuff from like Armada upwards. There was a little side room right to that right there, I didn't go into it, but it was mainly just Pops and Lego sets. And then we got a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Again, I only had 30 minutes to look around, so I tried to take in as much as possible. Found it really cool. The reason why I zoomed in on that price tag, I found it really cool. They still had the Toys R Us price tag stickers on there. Those look like the figures that they may have used for Robot Chicken. I could be wrong by that, but they look pretty, especially that Luke, looked pretty on point with the one they used for Robot Chicken. Whole bunch of Star Wars there. I think I even saw like a potato head there while I was editing this video, and I was like, oh man, I should have seen that closer. I think it was one I already owned. There's a Poopa from Solar Opposites. That was kind of cute. And then I didn't even know that they ever made a Dejarik board game there. That looked pretty neat. A couple more Motu action figure vehicles there. And then just some random hodgepodge of action figures. Of course, we've got some more Star Wars and some DC stuff. More Motu figures. I'm guessing those are the more rare Motu figures, because they did have some in bags on the wall. And then we've got, looks like G.I. Joe and Battlestar Galactica, and some more of the older Thundercats toys. Some Rambo. And that Robo Can guy looked really interesting. I wish I had some more time, because I did want to look at him. We also got some Inhumanoids there. But the RoboCam guy just kind of caught my interest just because of his interesting design. And he was in my budget. I just ran out of time. And I believe those are some more G.I. Joe and Star Wars figures in that glass case there. Food Fighters. And these Smurf little playsets look really cool. I did a review years ago on the really tiny Smurf playsets there, and I never knew of any other toy series of them. You got some Exo-Force, some Food Fighters, more G.I. Joe, a lot of Bucky O'Hare. I was really tempted to get Bucky O'Hare, but some of the prices were a little bit more than what I wanted to spend on them, especially if they weren't complete. I don't mind if they're not in the packaging, but I at least wanted all their weapons with them. And we still got a lot of Transformers. They had like 2 or 3 glass cases full of Transformers there, so just gonna try to pan and show a little bit of everything that was in this store. Here's another case here. I've never been into Transformer series. I did growing up. I was into Armada and Energon, but by like late middle school I was already out of it. Yeah, still more Transformers there. And then we got some Pokemon cards still sealed. Looks like a lot of more of the newer generations from the past 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 or 7. Definitely within the past 10 years or so. Nothing much older there. Although those the ones in the glass case probably were a bit older than that. We had some Lego figures, and then we had my wife really likes stickers, and so I pointed out this big old box of stickers, but she said she really just collects Marvel stickers, and they didn't have enough. Yeah, she wasn't interested in that one, but they didn't have. It was more video game and anime than anything else. The one thing this store lacked was video games. That Ninja Gaiden game was like one of very few games there. I do remember those Pokemon Gold cards right there. Those are pretty neat. And my wife does enjoy How to Train Your Dragon, so she liked looking at the dragons there. Those were some good figures. And still more Transformers on that back wall there, as well as on that glass case there. And I do see some more Lego figures there. Nothing yet had really caught my eye that was in my price range. This is a really cool store. It just, a lot of stuff was on my price range. I did find it very interesting of all these Pound Puppies down there. Like, I've never seen that many in the wild before. It was really interesting. And then we had some Marvel versus Capcom and Street Fighter. And then this giant Rat Fink figure that was really expensive. I just have never been into that series there. They did have t-shirts that were $10 each, so while I was looking around, my wife tried to find me some more t-shirts because I'm always running out. These were really cool. I never knew that they made Wild Thornberry action figures, and they were there. Just really interesting seeing the Curious George Barbie, and then also the Golden Girls action figure, Rose particularly. And then I went into the middle aisles. So starting off, we had the Toxic Crusaders figures from the newer line, and a lot of horror figures from both new films as well as the classic Universal Studio monsters. I thought this E.T. figure was really cool because it was a Toys R Us exclusive. We had some Spawn, some Gargoyles, some Robocops. You see Alf right down there and the Thing. Again, if I have more time, I will look at everything much more intensely, but I was trying to just scan and try to find anything that was one in budget, but I also didn't want to be there until like last minute because I didn't want to be rude, but I did want to check the place out before it closed. We got a lot of Predator and Alien stuff, so if you're looking for Predator and Alien figures, this is where to check it out. Not only just the newer stuff, but it looks like stuff from like the 90s as well there up at the top. They had some of the newer action figures, like that new Robo Force figure. They had Mummies Alive, the new Tron figures, Ghostbusters down there, Dungeons and Dragons, that Lightyear figure, which I already own. And I saw there was a bunch of Boglins, including Boglin's Alien, which I had known about but I just never seen. And these were all really decently priced, in my opinion. I have a couple of them already. The ones on to your right there in the black cases. I have two of those. Actually, no, I have one of those and one in the brown case. They used to sell them at GameStop. I think some of them still do up until recently. Yep, that pumpkin one. I have that pumpkin one right there. And then we got some loose bags there. And I wanted to take a quick shot at the ceiling because they had all these cool backpacks hanging down from anime to video games, comic books, cartoons, movies, what have you. It's really neat. Then we got another shelf with just a hodgepodge of stuff there. I've never seen some of these figures, like that Dress Up Kids I was never aware of. That Raw Tin, and including this Donkey Kong series action figure. These look like they were from the N64 or maybe Donkey Kong Country, the television series. And it really piqued my interest. I'm just, outside of the Nintendo Jakks specific, or Jakks toys, I don't really collect Nintendo action figures all that much. But they did have a good array of stuff there. And then they had a lot of reaction figures from, as you can see, Animaniacs, X-Men, Marvel, Princess Bride. There's another Diddy Kong. That was one of the newer ones there. Austin Powers. I did look at this big guy robots because I do own one of the figures already. The one I got in my hand, that one. Looks like the other one was just kind of a variant of the one I already have. So Men in Black and Stargate was really cool too. And again, we had some more loose bag stuff there. There was a friggin' Sora. I'm just noticing the Sora amiibo right there. Should have picked that up. I don't know. It might have been a little overpriced. Those Ghouls and Goblins action figures were actually pretty cool as well. We get to this other shelf here in the middle of the store. This kind of had an hodgepodge, and then they had an Eon Kid figure. Definitely was out of my price range. Man, I had totally forgotten about this action figure series. I believe it was based on a show as well. I haven't collected it yet, but it is on my radar to start collecting eventually. I'm trying to finish up my Cubix collection first, and after that I might get into Eon Kid. Let me know if you grew up with Eon Kid and what your thoughts were on the figures. There were some loose bag Ghostbusters figures there. They had Quake, EverQuest. These Dream Bears looked kind of interesting, and never seen those before. It looked like they were off-brands of Care Bears. And then down at the bottom, they had some really cool GoBots. Now, there's a video coming out here in the near future where I kind of talk more about GoBots, so it does have a soft spot in my heart. And it was really cool seeing the puzzles, especially that base there, still in the box. There's a really clean box there. Lastly, I had a look at these small soldiers in-cap figures. I normally try to pick one up for my friend who collects them, but again, I just was literally, my wife was like, we have 10 minutes, you need to find something so we can go go buy it and leave. So I did end up picking up this Walt Disney Film Collection book series. Now, when I picked it up, I thought it was a DVD series of all just like the older black and white Mickey Mouse cartoons. But no, it's 3 volumes, and it's just kind of behind the scenes on pretty much every animated film, both short film and feature film, from like the 1930s up to about the 1960s or 70s. I probably did overpay for it because I did look online later and saw you can still buy this at like Target and Amazon. So I was like, oh well. Yeah, I picked it up because I thought it was DVDs. They look like it when you looked at the box. Again, I was really kind of rushing it, so I didn't look closely. Otherwise, I probably would have noticed right offhand that they were books. But I can't complain because those are some really nice steals of one of my favorite Disney animated features right there, Sleeping Beauty. And again, they had some stuff about Mary Poppins, Snow White, so I probably will use this for my research for futures. And then on top of that, I also picked up from that plush shelf the Shoney's Bear. Now, if you don't know what Shoney's is, I don't know how big of a franchise it is. It is still in some places in Georgia and South Carolina. It's kind of a buffet type of place, and I would always go there with my grandparents when they came down to visit for breakfast. They had a huge breakfast buffet with bacon, scrambled eggs, and fatback, and really everything you can think of. And man, did I love that place. And I always saw these little bears hanging up at the register, and I always wanted one, but I just either never had money on me, or of course I think they're pretty expensive for a plush at the time. So whenever I asked my parents or my grandparents, they usually said no, or usually we were going to go to like a Walmart afterwards. So I was like, well, if I am going to spend money, I kind of want to go and spend it at like Walmart or Kmart. But it was just really cool. He's in really good condition. I couldn't find a tag on him to find what year he was from. But from the design, he looks like he's probably from either the 80s or the 90s, because he didn't change much during that time, from what I can recall. Then I went to another antique mall here in Mississippi, here in Georgia, and I found this cool Etch-a-Sketch action pack that says it had 6 reusable fun screens for the Etch-a-Sketch, and I didn't even know this was a thing. So inside there was all these little clear plastic platelets basically that you would put over the main Etch-a-Sketch pad just so you could have some puzzles, or most of them were like 2-player type of games, so it was really cool. So we're kind of going over them one over one. They had these pieces of paper in between to try to protect them. So yeah, you got ones where you're going through a maze, ones where you're trying to fill certain animals in. Another maze one. They have some like hide and go seek ones. Pin the tail on the donkey. That was really cool. You were trying to do it blindfolded, or close your eyes. Yeah, there's the hide and seek one. So basically, somebody would move around the entire board while the other person's eyes were closed, and the other person had to figure out where they had stopped at. So it looks like they was made for a bigger Etch-a-Sketch because they didn't quite fit in. And then this is also when I realized my Etch-a-Sketch, the magnet has kind of worn out, because I don't think you can barely make out that line that's going around there. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, I've got to pick up a new one, I guess. So yeah, as you see, it doesn't quite fit. But I was able to get it working enough to where I could try to pin the tail on the donkey, or try to finagle it, which with it being broken kind of helped with the game there, because it wasn't as accurate as it usually is. But that was pretty cool. And then lastly, again at the Antique Mall here in Georgia, I picked up this see the pictures, hear the story, read the book, Pac-Man Picnic, book and cassette. Now, I didn't have this one growing up. This is a little before my time, but I do remember having quite a few of these book and tape cassette sets. And I would normally just listen to the cassette and look at the pictures, because I could read the book without, the narrator. But this was really cool. I'll try to see if I can find online. Maybe somebody's uploaded the audio of what the cassette has on it. I'm sure it's just the book. And try to post a link if I can find it. Because right now I don't have anything to play said cassette. But overall, that was a pretty fun time. And as I said, I will be doing more of these in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned and make sure to like and of course subscribe for future videos. And I may go back to that toy store. It's called LT Toys and Stuff in Columbia, South Carolina. So definitely check them out. And yeah, until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.